So for the past many years, since I started doing my yoga practice, I was actually most of the time when I was doing yoga, I used to hear about one name of this person. His name was Tirumalai Krishnamacharya. Who was Tirumalai Krishnamacharya? Tirumalai Krishnamacharya, as the world knows today, is known to be the father of modern yoga. So I kind of got inquisitive and I picked up this book called Yoga Makarand. This is basically a translated edition. Yoga Makarand was actually the book which was written by Sri Tirumalai Krishnamacharya ji somewhere back in 1920s, 1930s. And at that point of time, yoga was actually going through a renaissance. So when I say renaissance, it means that as a practice, yoga had become very limited to few of the royal households and few of the very I would say Siddha rishis. And during this time, yoga really lost its touch with the common man. And the world today owes whatever it knows as the modern yoga, it owes a lot to the entire renaissance which happened under the guru, under the I would say the leadership or under the knowledge of Sri Tirumalai Krishnamacharya ji. Most of the most renowned global yoga gurus, including Sri B.K. Saindar ji, they were the disciples of Tirumalai Krishnamacharya ji. So in this book, he has written a very interesting statement on the front of this book, that one of the statements that you would find which caught my eye before I started reading this book was, teach what is within you, not as it applies to you, but as it applies to the one in front of you. This says a lot about a teacher, right? In the entire yogic practice, most of the books that you would read about yoga, including Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga, you would see that there is a descriptive mention of an ideal guru, and there is a descriptive mention of an ideal shishya, and there are some traits of an ideal guru and an ideal shishya. Now at the front of this book, this one statement where he says that teach what is within you, not as it applies to you, but as it applies to the one in front of you, is a very powerful statement. It means that any guru, any yoga guru who's trying to help help the students that he is teaching with the practice of yoga should teach yoga as he knows it, should teach the practice of yoga as he or she knows it, and not as it applies to himself or herself, but as it applies to his disciples. Which means that every person in the world has a very different yoga journey. As a person, I might be able to do different sorts of yoga practice. My entire progress in yoga will be very different from anybody else's progress in yoga. There will be a lot of these asanas which I can do and somebody else may not be able to do. Similarly, there are a lot of these asanas which somebody else would be able to do easily, which I would not be able to do easily. But this is a very progressive thing, right? Yoga has an infinite journey. And the guru has to understand that the knowledge of yoga is within inside him or her. But the way it has to be imparted should be according to the disciple that this knowledge is imparted, not considering that I am the disciple. Which means that a yoga guru can actually do, let's say, 100 different sorts of asanas and postures and everything, where he has already gone to the siddhi level. But a disciple may be starting, so he may not be able to easily, and he has to also understand that disciple is. So the way of teaching will actually change as per the